All right. Hi, my name is Michael Klein. I'm the owner and founder of Hideous LC, and we have a 70 proof all natural berry citrus liqueur called Hideous Liquer that I started about 10, 11 years ago while I was an undergraduate student at the University of Texas at Austin.
How did you get the idea for Hideous Liquer?
I was a finance major at UT, and my whole life wanted to be an investment banker, and planned on going to do the junior analyst training program. And I had some offers from the investment banks in New York, and I kind of realized after I got some offers that my main goal back then was I wanted to figure out a way to get back to New Orleans, where I'm from, and obviously we don't have much of an investment banking segment in New Orleans, so I always wanted to think of a way that I could have a company that could one day maybe be successful in New Orleans. So I figured that from New Orleans, have a liquor brand, and luckily went home to tell my parents I was declining my job offers and that I wanted to start a liquor company. New Orleans parents, I guess, are more apt to support things in the booze business than others, and they've supported me and funded the company, and back at the beginning, and that's how we started.
Okay, nice. How have you grown since then? Have you expanded, obviously outside of Austin, but where are some other places where you can find Hideous?
Well, I guess the main after I graduating in 2000, I moved the company back to New Orleans to launch. The product was developed in Austin, but I moved back to New Orleans. I wanted to launch it there, so it took a couple of years to do development and get the product design, packaging, and who was going to produce it and distribute it. And we actually launched it in November of 2004 in New Orleans. And for about a year or so, we just did the Louisiana market. And since at the time it was being produced in Idaho, we tried it a couple other states in different regions. We had Idaho and Montana. It was smaller markets, and then we launched in Georgia. Well, and then in August of 2005, obviously Hurricane Katrina hit, and I ended up not evacuating, but I came to Austin for the storm, and I never left. The brand was relocated here, and became sort of a Texas-centric strategy, and that was kind of the best thing that could have ever happened for the company, because Austin in general and the state of Texas is our showcase market, and really where the success of the brand, where the brand has taken hold. So to answer that question really quick, I just say the brand was up to available in 10 states, but we concentrate almost all of our efforts now in the state of Texas.
Okay. What I guess like some people have some like creative like marketing techniques they've used, like advertising methods. Like, what would you say was like the most or like successful or interesting technique you've ever used to like spread the name of Hideous?
The marketing side is probably what interests me the most, and as my role has grown and changed over the years, my the one thing that I make sure that I'm in charge of is the marketing of the brand, and how our brand is seen, put out our brand image to our consumers. And the main thing is when in business school, I was a minor in marketing, but get all these great ideas, and you think of your traditional avenues. And the thing is with small businesses, whether you're selling coat hangers or liquor or boxes or whatever you're selling, cash flow is your most important thing to be aware of. And the most important thing is to get the best return for your dollar, what your ROI is on your investment dollar. So while things that we think of immediately, like print, newspaper, print, advertising, magazines, billboards, which are always things that people will ask me about first, you have to those, while they all have value to them, it's most important to figure out how I can best get my name out there with the best return for my buck. And I guess the main thing of how we've done that is trial and error. You can't dismiss an avenue until you've tried it, but then at the same time, you have to make sure that where you're spending your dollars brings back the most return for the brand. So we've definitely changed strategy. We copied at the very beginning. Obviously, I copied what a lot more traditional brands have done with. When you think of liquor brands and for promotion, you think of free shots and T-shirts and giveaways, and we very quickly, I realized that that was not smart for our brand or and economically feasible. So we built a whole campaign around doing things differently.
Okay. Well, do y'all do a lot of like social media stuff, a lot of stuff online, or like how, I guess, have you differentiated yourself from like the traditional like advertising methods?
I would say we were a little bit late in being proactive in social media than we should have been. For one, obviously there's a couple of different mediums out there. So at first you had MySpace, and MySpace wasn't something that the demographic that's our core consumer was used. And they were on Facebook. Well, at the beginning when we wanted to do that, you had to have a .edu address in order to be on Facebook, and it wasn't set up as commercially as it is now. And so I think we were a little late to jump in there. And the best social media, and I have a couple of different opinions on it, but it's definitely helpful. The best thing is that when you have to set up a brand as a business page, it's very hard to get people to follow you, because unlike when it thinks you're a person, you can go out and request people. The trick with a Facebook brand page is they have to like you. You can suggest it, but it's not as so. Anyway, it's hard to get the number of fans following. But when you do have those fans, it's a pretty unique tool, because it's a good way to get information out to your market. We'll run promotions. Like we'll say, my market manager is going to be in Houston. The first 5 people to write us about a bar in Houston where you go and you've asked for Hideous and they don't have it, then we'll give you a $50 bar tab. And then we like this for a couple of different reasons. One, we're following our core consumer, our cult following. We're following them to where we know the brand is going to succeed because they go there and they ask for it. And second of all, on the actual sales side, it's much easier to go into a bar and you say, hey, look, what do you mean nobody asked for this? Like, we have people write into our Facebook page saying, how come they're aware enough to know that they don't, carry the brand, so they've asked for it. So it's quite kind of a nice thing on both ways. My second part was it's easy to get caught up in things that don't matter much. For instance, very few, I know that Twitter is a big craze, a lot of people use it, but very few people of our core consumer demographic group use Twitter. And, you could get caught up in the hype of something and spend a lot of time and energy, paying consultants to do a whole Twitter campaign, which we get offered all the time, whereas, it might not actually be reaching very many of your people who can purchase your product.
Okay, cool. I guess owning your own company and being an entrepreneur, what sometimes it can be scary going out on your own and starting something. Like, what do you like about being an entrepreneur and owning your own company, as opposed to someone that just kind of goes and sits in a cube all day and just you know what I'm saying?
Well, obviously it's the same answer on both sides. Like, you're your own boss, which is great for a lot of reasons, because you don't have to answer to anybody, and all the unique, if whatever direction you want to take the brand in or the company, it's up to you. At the same time, when there's problems, you're the boss. There's no one to call and say, when payroll is due and the end of the month, and cash flow, you have receivables but you don't have the cash flow in, and you got to pay your employees. I mean, it's on your shoulders. There's no one else to answer those questions for you. So, it's kind of obviously a double-edged sword. Whereas a lot of times it'd probably be much easier in life to go and just get that paycheck and work for someone else. And there's it's definitely a challenge. It's kind of like having a child. When you own your own company, it's 24/7. I mean, I'm never not working. A lot of that has to do with the industry I'm in, that our business, where a lot of people socialize, is where our business transactions take place. So it's an all-consuming kind of affair.
Right. And I guess the final question we're kind of wondering is, like, what advice would you give to someone that would be in your shoes, like 10 years ago, and they might be thinking about starting their own business, but they're not really sure? Like, I guess, what is something you wish that someone had told you when you were starting up?
Obviously, I mean, more specifically, I get a lot of younger people that, they come, they want to get involved in the spirits industry or have an idea for a brand. A couple of different things there is a reason why a lot of businesses don't make it past their first year or their second year. And I think the first thing is that if you're going to start your own business, you need to take a step back first and really do some math and get some opinions on, is there really a need for this product, for this service that I'm offering for this business? Who's going to pay for this? How much do I have to sell in order to break even? How much money is this honestly going to cost to start this up? Can I find this? Is my family, my friends, be able to get a loan? Because I've seen people, even people that have a good amount of capital to put into a business. I have a friend who owns bars, and he counted on, before the current 2008 economic downfall, of putting in a lot of his own cash and then financing the rest of his business with loans. Well, obviously after putting his own cash and the debt market sort of slowed down, he was unable to get any lines of credit, and he's put himself in a financial ruin that way. At the same time, but that business could have been a good idea. At the same time, I see guys, guys and girls who graduate from colleges, and they have an idea for a business, and I could tell them without an inkling of a doubt, if I was going to be honest with them, that they had no chance. That maybe the market's crowded, they're just another player in a category that has 8,000 other options, and there's nothing to differentiate them. They don't have the distribution power, the money behind it, and no one ever wants to hear that what they've set their heart on is going to be a failure, and you can't tell them that. But maybe more people should be honest about that, because you don't ever want to start a business where you've started out with no chance to succeed before you've even opened your doors. And I unfortunately see a lot of that.
Right.